So pay close attention. I'm not going to keep this video up for long. I put different videos up and I like to pull them back down. This is an experiment on really sharing some more in-depth stuff that I don't always share. But it's quick and easy to understand, yet it's things you haven't heard before. This is what I wish they had taught us in school. If you're like me, all the practical stuff you really needed to know, you didn't learn, how to invest, how to create recurring income, how to create passive income. And really customize a lifestyle for yourself. So what are these levels to wealth? Now, why do I include these together? 3 steps to finding your destiny and the wealth levels. Well, very simple. What these 3 steps are going to allow you to do, these 3 steps I'm going to show you here, they're going to allow you to move up. And life is all about increase. It's all about success. Most people stop. They give up. They resign themselves. As you listen right now in this video, one thing that's going to come to mind if you're like me is, wow, I wish I had learned this before. But no matter how old you are, today, Mark Cuban was here the other day, the billionaire from Shark Tank, and we were talking actually in the living room. And I said, what's the best piece of advice you ever got, Mark? And he said, my dad told me, Ty, that today's the youngest you'll ever be. So this is the youngest day of your life. So no matter where you are, young, old, you want to know this stuff. So these 3 steps to finding your destiny unlock the keys to moving up here. And not everybody has to be a billionaire like Mark Cuban. That's not the goal. But the goal is you only find happiness when you feel like you're moving forward in life. When you feel stuck, maybe you're like me, you get stuck. And so the first level is debt. Like I said, this applies to money or your body. If you're super overweight, it's like you're in physical debt. If you owe a ton of money, college debt, credit card debt, you're below zero here, Below zero. Millions of people, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people get stuck right there. These 3 steps are going to help you move if you're from this area up here. And this one's not even that good. Level 2, not that good. It's level 1. Level 2 is what I call scarcity. That means you just have enough or barely enough. You're always biting your nails when the first of the month comes and you got to pay your bills. Most of the world lives in these 2 places, and I've been in both of these. I've been in all these levels, and I can tell you, you don't want to be in these right here. And these 3 steps going to bring you out. I remember when I was sleeping on a couch in a mobile home in Clayton, North Carolina, I had $47 in my bank account. I was not quite in debt. I was a little out of debt, but I was basically here. Same thing. I didn't have a car, didn't have a college degree. I lost touch with friends. I didn't have a job. Opportunities weren't there for me. And maybe you feel like giving up, Well, I've felt that nightmare before. And the only thing that got me out of this was understanding these 3 steps to finding your destiny. I'm going to show you those in just a minute here. But I want you to understand the wealth levels first. He studied different countries, and he said around $72,000 a year. If you're below that, you're in scarcity, he said, and he said your happiness will be lower. He used various scientific machinery and research to find out that number, and it's obviously not exactly that. And he said this is not just for the United States. You can use the equivalent in whatever country that you live in. And so that's still scarcity. Health, wealth, love, and happiness is not optimized in that area because think about it. What's the cause of most divorces? 51% of people get divorced, and the number 1 cause they found is not having enough financial, freedom, because it puts stress on every area, including your health. It puts stress on your relationships, your time, and of course your happiness. And when those happen, it starts to spiral down. And when I was sleeping on that couch with $47 in my bank account, and I'm in this area here, I remember thinking, is this it? Like I said, I didn't have a college degree. I couldn't see the way out, but mentors changed my life. And one of the things in these 3 steps to finding your destiny is a special technique you can use with mentors. I'll share that in a second. But what you want to get is at least start moving to level 3. And I call that health, It doesn't mean you're a millionaire or a billionaire, but you're financially sound. You're financially healthy. You can see a way out. You can pay your bills and have stuff left over to have fun. Enjoy your time. Do a little travel here and there, Take care of your family. put some away for the future. That's health. And this is the minimum level that I think every person in the world should aspire to. Now, some people, I believe in your destiny. You might be one of them. You're destined to move above here. Warren Buffett said at 7 years old. Warren Buffett, he's usually the first or second richest person in the world. He said as a young person, he knew it was his destiny to make a lot of money. He said, I always knew. I liked numbers. He liked investing. Even as a little kid, when I was watching cartoons, he was, reading books on valuing the stock market. And so that's his destiny a little bit different. But so that might be yours, because the fourth level is what I call prosperity. And, I don't have an exact way to tell you where it is. My best guess is, this is about 100,000 or so, 70 to 100,000. And prosperity is above that, 100,000 plus, 6 figures. And then what's the last stage? Not everybody can get here. Stage number 5 is wealth, right? Wealth and impact, I call it. Because at this level, $1 million plus, we'll say. So you could put 1 mil here or above, billion. These are, Bill Gates, he's donated half of his money, Mark Zuckerberg. You can really have a massive impact. Not to say you can't, you can still have an impact way below here, but think about these wealth levels. And I wish somebody had told me these, and one of the things I wish they had taught me was a lot of people that I meet, I get a lot, I've got a lot of social media followers and Snapchat and Instagram, and all in all, I think last year and a half, about 540 million minutes of my YouTube videos were watched, and so I get people contacting me constantly, and a lot of people are down here in debt and scarcity where I was, and they're like, Ty, I want to make $1 billion, and I'm like, step by step you get ahead. Not necessarily in fast spurts, but sometimes it happens in a fast spurt. So that's a saying from Charlie Munger, the billionaire, where he said, you got to prepare for those. So right now, what you're doing right now is preparing for that big break that I hope that you had, because when I was sleeping on that couch, I got a break. It's not a break that you thought. I didn't go from having a few bucks, $47, no car, to a higher level. A lot of people see it, I got Rolls Royce and Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all that stuff. It was a process. And the big breakthrough that came for me is when I began to understand the value of not giving up. So the 3 steps to finding your destiny. Number 1 is you can't give up. And there's that Winston Churchill saying, never, 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 never give up. And most people, the reason they give up is because of their age. So you might be watching this and you're young, and so you think you're too young. You might think you're a little older, and you think, oh, my time's passed. It's funny how we humans are. When is the optimal time? Because when you're older, you think you're too old. When you're young, you think you're too young. And so remember what the billionaire Mark Cuban said. That's the first step. And I know it sounds a simple step, but when I was sleeping on that couch, the big breakthrough that allowed me to start ascending in this wealth levels here was I was reading a book. I was laying on that couch, and I remember, I'm not somebody who cries very often, every 10 years or something, and a tear came down my eye because I remember thinking, this is it. But my mom handed me a book, she had given me a book, I think a year or two before, and I finally read it. And in it was a book by Tony Robbins, and there was a page that said, when you succeed, you party. But when you fail, you ponder, and all greatness comes from pondering. So what happens is, the second you give up, whether it's because you're really successful or because you're just down too low, you stop pondering. And I started pondering while I was sleeping on the couch. I took those words to heart, and I was like, okay, maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe I shouldn't give up, because I wanted to give up. I said, let me start pondering. I started thinking through what smart people had told me before, books that I had read, and I remember one simple formula, one simple technique, and that technique is number 2. So number 1 is don't give up, no matter what your age is. Believe and have some hope. With no hope, no faith, you're not going to move up this. Remember what Thoreau said, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. If you've resigned yourself, you're just confirming your desperation. Never do that. I don't care where you are. Nelson Mandela spent over 20 years in a prison, and when he came out, he changed the world. He won a Nobel Peace Prize after, so he never gave up. But you can't just have that alone. That's why I said there's 3 steps to finding your destiny. And the second step is what I've realized when I was pondering on that couch. You need a mentor, and you got to train with a mentor. Now, some people will argue with me. Some people ask me my opinion on going to college. I'm a college dropout, and I've been able to be a successful entrepreneur without a college degree. I'm not saying it's bad to have a college degree, but what I'm saying is more important than any formal education, any one thing, is to be around people who have already done it. And I think no one really, if they think through, will argue with me on this. If you look at professional athletes, you look at Michael Jordan. His coach, who he trained under, Phil Jackson, had won a championship as a player himself. So Michael Jordan could be confident that he was training under this coach, this mentor, who had already succeeded, who just didn't, have book knowledge, but instead had both book knowledge and real world experience. So who have you learned from? And I didn't have anybody to teach me to move up through these wealth levels, because growing up, you're born to whoever you're born to. I was born, my mom was a single mom, and she wasn't equipped. She was a good mom and cared about me, and I love her. But on this specific subject, she didn't have the tools to help me. When I was on that couch and I realized I need a mentor, I need someone who's done it before. So I found a phone book. Okay, I didn't give up. I knew I needed to put a little work, a little training. I pulled out the Yellow Pages. This was in a mobile home in Clayton, North Carolina. And I started flipping through the pages, and I found a full-page ad. I don't even know where I came up with this idea. People have asked me. But somehow it hit me in just pondering that maybe this was a solution. And I called, and I showed up at this person's office, complete stranger. Name was Mike Stainback, and I said, Mike, his office, I remember, was in the back through a hall. So I walked through this hall, and I get to the back, and Mike's there, and I said, Mike, you don't know me, but I figure you must know a lot, and you must be pretty wealthy because you got a full-page ad in the Yellow Pages. I specifically picked you out, Mike, because you got a full-page ad, and a full-page ad costs tens of thousands of dollars. So I told him I'll work for him for free. And he had this big mustache like Tom Selleck, and he was sitting there in a chair, kind of had his side to me, and he just returned the chair, and he said, Ty, I've been looking for someone like you for 20 years. Show up in the morning, and I'm going to show you what I know. And came back, I didn't have much money. I found a suit. I think I bought what little money I had. I bought this oversized suit at a thrift store. Showed up the next day, and he had told me he was going to give me an office. By the way, one thing he told me when I was walking out after that first night or afternoon, I was walking away after he said, come back in the morning. He said, Ty, one more thing. And I turned around, and I was like, what? And he goes, I want you to know, if you listen to what I'm going to tell you, one day you're going to hug my neck. And I always thought he was from the South, and I remember thinking, that's an interesting way to phrase it. But what he was saying is, he knew tried and true techniques, tried and true things that could help me. And what I'm telling you right now is the same thing. If you listen to what I'm going to say and continue to say throughout this presentation, you're going to change your life. So, again, I'm going to pull this video down. If you're really interested, I figure the really interested people won't procrastinate, will watch it right now. So make sure you watch this to the end.